Okay, folks, we are here with Monday's episode for Beyond the Gates. Yes, I know this is late. Long story short, was busy yesterday, had to run errands, and then this one dude came through my eBay store, spent over $1,000 on Pokemon cards, and I had to spend my day sorting through his order. Yes, this is a real thing. eBay is my side hustle. Check it out. Link is in the description box below. But hey, a day late, but 2 episodes, not short, because you're getting 2 episode reviews today. And this is for Monday, which I believe was episode 105, 104 or 105. Look, out in the title, the episode number will be correct. But this was a great follow-up to the concert that we left off with on Friday. And Anita, this was beautiful. This was beautiful. Anita comes out on stage and tells everyone about the 4th member of the group. And she mentions how, they lost her too soon and they wanted to honor her. And that's when Barabra Mitchell, the founder of the group, finally gets her flowers. And it's beautiful because Andre, I believe this is a callback to when Andre was over at the Dupree estate and Anita asked to speak with him alone, and this was why to put together this beautiful tribute. And I love this. It feels like all the drama and stuff from Anita following Vernon's advice to call the girls to try to make peace and possibly recapture that magic from the past all came together with this. I just really love that. And I know this is a bit of a stretch here, but I'll mention it anyway. To have Andre, who's not a Dupree, the nephew of Ted, who hurt Vernon and Anita's daughter with his affair and whatnot, causing a huge rift in family dynamics. And then, Andre even I'm not even going to say dating, but seeing Anita's daughter, being the one to help tie together this tribute to truly not only just make peace with her sisters, the Articulettes, but honor the one that they lost too soon and was the reason for the huge rift between them in the first place. After she passed and Anita went solo and whatnot, and the years of regret on her end, but also the years of bitterness and whatnot for Tracy and Sharon. I think it's cool how it all ties together. But in any case, there's like a montage of photos from a slideshow of photos from the girls when they were growing up. And that's when Danny thanks Andre. And that's when he's like, anything for you, Danny. So Anita talks about how she blames herself for failing Barabra for not protecting her. But she does say how Barabra lives on in their music and everyone is just, being touched by the group that she created. So, there's like a huge applause and Anita starts chanting Barabra and they all join in. And that's when they shift gears to a more peppy song. And that was awesome. That was awesome. So Andre looks over and is like, oh gosh, Danny, I wish I could kiss you. And that's when she leans in and they kiss. Chelsea looks over and smiles. And then the way Naomi's mouth just, like her bottom jaw dropped to the floor. That was hilarious. So it's crazy though, because she asked Chelsea, like, did you see that? And then that's when Chelsea mentioned, like, well, mom's single, so it doesn't really. So Naomi is pulling a Nicole just being taken aback by, no, this isn't right. He's too young and they're kind of sort of related, but not. But I think the funniest part that everybody's talking about from this episode was a clip I saw of, like, when the Articulates are doing their thing, you got Leslie dancing in her seat singing along. It just goes to show that at the end of the day, good music is going to hit whether you're a villain or a good person. It's going to hit. Music is universal. And from there, at the end of the song, that's when we have Sharon leaning over to Anita saying that, hey, I forgive you for everything. So they all bow. The crowd, loses it. And once the concert is over, Naomi wants to leave and Chelsea thinks they should, stick around. But Naomi says, go say goodbye to grandma for me backstage. So she bounces. And I'm like, wow, okay, she's really in her feelings about this. So after that, Smitty tells, some Samantha that no matter what, the Duprees will always be their family. And that's when Martin comes up. And Samantha tries to, be the fixer, if you will, trying to, get her dads to kind of make peace. But Smitty mentions how he's wiped out from the concert, and he invites him to the after party. He doesn't pressure him though, and Smitty's like, well, I'll see what I can do in terms of whether or not he'll stick around. So that's when we go over to Ted's office. Remember, he didn't go to the concert, but I love this segment from Entertainment Tonight. I love that because if I remember correctly, didn't E.T. promote like the 5-part docu-series, which was I think like 25 minute segments. They're on YouTube, I believe, on the CBS YouTube channel, where it's like the behind the scenes, the making of Beyond the Gates. So I really love this callback. And they do a segment about the Articulettes concert, which is amazing. So after that, Naomi actually does slip by the office to talk to Anita real quick, and mentions how she thanks her for a great concert and being able to see her grandmother do her thing, and mentions that she has to get some work done. So the girls come back with flowers and everybody's happy, and Vernon pops up. It's like, well, the chariot awaits for the after party. And I just love that. I mean, he's gotten to see his wife recapture the magic with her sisters on stage, and it's just great mood all around. So once they get to the club, Danny and Nicole talk about who wins for the most scorned award tonight, and Nicole wins because Leslie popped up at the concert. And they shift gears to Leslie and Eva trying to get into the party, but it's for invited guests only. And that's when Eva talks to Leslie. Can we please leave Mom before we die of embarrassment? Like, for real, like, why are they showing up? So that's when she pulls her mom to the side, kind of a callback to the anniversary party where Eva tried to stop her mom, like, look, Mom, we don't have to do this. And Leslie's like, look, I didn't have to follow you, but Eva didn't want her to get arrested. That's essentially what's going on here. But because the fact that if Leslie popped up by herself, it would have been all hell broke loose. And that's when Kitty Cat and Chelsea arrive. And Leslie, just, again, it's the Tom and Jerry animosity here. It's on site between these two. And she mentions, like, I didn't get all dolled up for nothing. I'm going to the party. And that's when Kat just, again, she just kills with these comebacks, saying that the club doesn't have a mother-daughter homewrecker night. So they go back and forth, and Eva mentions how she doesn't want to start any drama. But that's when, Kat, proceeds to kick her out. But do you think your little kitty cat nails can compete with mine? So that's when Chelsea pops up and tells her that the party is only for invited guests. And Eva keeps trying to say, like, look, I'm not there to hurt anybody. I came to stop my mom from coming here and, causing drama. So that's when she gets her mom to leave. So that's when Eva strikes it below the belt, saying that, come with me now or we're not the Gilmore Girls anymore. And she's like, you know what? Fine. So these two little children here should be safe and fine knowing that we're gone. So from there, she goes so far as to mention how these gates are not just another obstacle that I can eventually jump over, limbo over, under, or shove up your little bougie. And then Eva drags her out before she can finish her sentence. So we go back inside the party, and Danny and Nicole bond over how their mom stopped working to take care of them, which is pretty interesting. Now, I don't know if that's... Wait, I can't remember why she decided... Well, no. I'm not trying to undermine the sentiment here. It's just that I don't know. Did Anita decide to go leave the music business to start a family? I forgot. I know she mentioned it before, but I can't remember. I want to say it was probably was. I think it was. And the two bonding over this. This reminded me of the Wayans brothers. One of my favorite episodes, the return of the Temptones, when Sean and Marlon find out about Pops being in a group, and it's like, wow. He really gave up, fame and fortune for love and, eventually raising us. Damn, he's stupid. Come on, Marlon. he did that for us. But then, we learned that he really stepped away from the group because he hated those guys. But essentially, it's the same sentiment here. It's a sweet thought because, it's low key kind of the same way that Naomi and Chelsea could look at Danny, because Bill swept her off her feet as she was conquering the world in the modeling, realm, and, supported him, and eventually became, full-time mom until she kind of found a rebirth through Chelsea in the modeling world. So yeah, same feelings can kind of apply here. So that's when Kat and Chelsea come in to mention the Leslie situation, and Nicole's like, nah, they're not getting away with it this time. So she bolts out of there. So that's when Vernon comes in to present the Articulettes, who just take it in. Everybody's applauding and whatnot, and it's a great time. Vanessa, greets him saying that that was an amazing concert. And Anita's sad that, unfortunately, Martin's in the corner feeling down because Smitty and the kids left. But that's when Andre gets, a huge thank you from the group for what he did with the Barabra tribute. And from there, Shanice has Tracy and Sharon sign the program, because Shanice was looking good in that green dress. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, I didn't even know she was going to the concert. But after that, Anita tells, the group that, Andre can't take a compliment about his work tonight. So that's when Sharon shows him how it's done, when he tells them how amazing they were. So it's like, I love that little moment, because I get it, especially if you're a perfectionist at what you do. So sometimes receiving compliments, like even when it comes to me doing my channel and whatnot, hey, don't get me wrong, like JeremyCarden did a lot of stuff before YouTube. Let's not get it twisted. It's just the fact that, sometimes when you work so hard, it's like you're never satisfied. I mean, as the astrology people would say, it's because you're a Virgo. Me and Michael Jackson, same birthday, August 29th. Great albums, greatest selling album or most sold album of all time, yet he still wasn't satisfied with what he does. So, yeah, I can get that from Andre. So from there, Jim pulls Anita to the side and offers her a solo tour, but she turns it down. But she does ask, hey, ask Sharon and Tracy instead. So, I don't know. There might be some sort of future for Anita in music or the girls. We'll just have to wait and see. I think, honestly, though, an Articulettes run would be great. And, sprinkle. It's kind of like the Jackson's, the Triumph and the Victory tour, where there will be a mix of the Jackson songs, but then solo songs from Michael and then solo songs from Jermaine. It's kind of like, hey, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. So from there, Martin tells Vernon that, Grandma outdid herself, and he liked having Smitty and his kids at the concert, but he knows that, it's only due to Smitty being a great dad. And that's when Vernon tells him to be hopeful, because maybe it's a little more than that. And that's when Smitty pops up and he calls Anita a goddess, and she calls him a saint. And I just, man, that's amazing. And that's because Vernon and Anita are right there, and they're mentioning how they apologize to Martin because he knows what they did for him. And look, honestly, earlier today, I recorded a video talking about whether or not the Duprees, mainly Vernon and Anita, if they did more harm than good for their kids and their grandkids, basically for their family, by keeping them safe from the consequences of their actions. And I compared it to the Tyler Perry show, which is my favorite show, The Haves and the Have-Nots. When you look at the Cryer family, Catherine and Jim protecting Amanda and Wyatt from the consequences of their actions, which eventually led to their self-destruction. But that's a whole separate video. You can check that out when I post it. And Martin mentions how he's not over the situation, but he knows, but knowing, that you all did it out of love, and now that, most of the family is aware, it's helping him get there to a better place now that he doesn't have to bottle it up inside. So from there, Danny talks to Chelsea about seeing her and Andre kissing, and, she goes off about it, and then Andre pops up, and Chelsea asks, like, oh, so what should I call you now that you're with my mom, like stepdaddy or something? And that's when Kat, is like, well, this is awkward. I got some work to do. And then Chelsea gives Andre a warning about, hurting her mom and stuff. And the thing is, and look, I get it. That's, your mom. But also it's like, and, she was cheated on and whatnot. So there's an understanding there of not having her mom go through a similar cycle. It's funny though how you have like Vernon low key warning Andre not to make him change his opinion of him, and Chelsea being overprotective of her mom. Like basically, you do anything to our little girl, you're going to get it. I don't think they have learned that you can make these threats and whatnot, which I don't believe you would make good on. I think if there's anyone that Andre needs to be afraid of, it isn't Vernon, it isn't Anita, it isn't Danny's daughters. It's Danny herself. That's the thing. And also, Chelsea, I can't take you seriously about, I wouldn't say being judgmental, but feeling some kind of way about it because weren't you the third party of a married couple? Just leaving it there. Okay, so speaking of Chelsea, she wants to introduce Madison to her grandmother, but Madison is freaked out about it, and she takes her by the arm and brings her over there. And that's when Anita gives her a hug, and, she fangirls and mentions how, oh, I need to go get some champagne. And that's when Anita, approves of Madison being the one, which again, this feels extremely rushed. So Martin, talks with Smitty one more time and just thanks him for the kids showing up with him and then, going back to the party. So he wants to make things right, and Smitty wishes that things could be different, but that doesn't make it so. So Smitty wishes that he could just get caught up in the magic of the night like everyone else. So he likes how Martin looks in his suit, but he can't forget about all the lies. So that's when Martin's like, hey, well, similar to Shannon Sharp, it doesn't matter how many apologies I put out there, it's not enough. Look, he didn't say that, but we know what's in the news right now. So he hopes that in time, it will heal and allow, Smitty to forgive him. So after one more hug, Smitty leaves. And then we go over to the diner, and man, all hell breaks loose. So you got the Gilmore Girls discussing the concert, and Eva was pretty impressed that Leslie knew all the words to the songs. And Leslie mentioned how, even though I love the music, I hate that, well, all roads lead back to those damn Duprees. And that's when Eva says that, look, you just need to make some space between you and Ted, given the fact that you still want him. So just stay away from Nicole. Basically, just stop. I mean, I get it. You still want to get revenge on Teddy Bear, but leave Nicole out of it. And boom, say her name and she magically appears. So she goes off on Leslie and the fact that you should get arrested for, trespassing tonight. And that's when Leslie's like, well, hey, the concert was a public event. And Eva tries to, interject by saying, look, it's just that my mom is a lifelong fan. And that's when Nicole snaps on her too and warns her to stay away before, she steps out of the diner. And a lot of people are like, you know what? Why is Nicole mad at Eva? It's like, well, I ain't going to sit up here and explain it, but it's self-explanatory. First of all, hey, Eva, stay out of grown folks' business. And secondly, you got to look at the facts. You can't ignore everything that's led up to this tension, to this point in the series. Because the last time Leslie showed up to a Dupree function at the country club uninvited, it led to a whole lot of drama. And after what Nicole went through, she'd be damned if anything like that occurred on her mom's big night. Now, just imagine if it wasn't Kat and Chelsea, but what if it was Vernon who caught Leslie and Eva, trying to go into the event, and that's his baby, his woman, his goddess? Oh, no. Leslie got off easy, all things considered, if you ask me. So we go back over to Smitty's house, because Martin isn't there. And Terrell and Samantha talk about, their dad's situation and whether or not they can be trusted because of the fact that, well, their mom let them in the system, but, our dad saved us from them, the system, because they chose us, and so did the Duprees. But the thing is, she does, and, they're discussing, whether or not how to fix this situation, like who to trust, because like Vernon told Terrell at the diner last week, you two are mature for your age, but, there's some things you're just not ready for. So they want to know exactly what about the story from 2 years ago aren't they being made, privy to. So Samantha won't give up on Martin because he screwed up. And Terrell's like, yeah, that's right. So they pinky swear that they always have each other regardless as to what happens to their dad. So back at the after party, Danny and Andre discuss what they are to each other in public. While Danny's not sure how the rest of the family will take it, she wants him to take her home and stay for breakfast the next morning. So we go back, or actually Nicole comes back to the club and she talks with Carlton for a bit. And then that's when Shanice appears to tell her about Martin being heartbroken. But Nicole goes over to check on her son. And I like this. While Carlton, watches from a distance. And that's when Martin talks to his mom about how he doesn't hope it doesn't take too long for he and Smitty to, make things work. And that sucks, not just for him, but, also he's looking at his parents' situation because similar to him, his dad lied for years, obviously way longer. And look at how busted up their relationship is. So, it's one thing if Smitty was going through this and it's like the only marital problem he knows of. But given the fact that, his dad cheated on his mom, their marriage fell apart. Bill cheated on his aunt, and their marriage fell apart. So that's why Martin is definitely in a funk right now, and for good reason. So over at the bar, Sharon and Tracy tell Vernon that they wish Anita would come on tour with them. And that's when Vernon hopes that they can all heal from it. So they wonder where, Anita went. And that's when Anita's actually back at the concert hall looking at the Barabra photos, and she talks to her about that letter. And that was just great about, Black Girl Magic and it lifting them up from the projects. And from there, they went to stages all around the world. But without Barbara, there would be no group in the first place. So she gives her friend a final thank you. So that was beautiful. But I do hope that Anita changes her mind. Obviously, her absence would be felt in the show if she didn't, stick around. But let's be real. Like, even if she went on tour, they can write in, breaks when she would come visit the family. But we'll just have to wait and see. So, yeah, great episode. 10 out of 10. I loved it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will catch you in the next one.